Hello, it's the day after the festival and I'm going to recycle. So we use a lot of banners during the festival and I've got one here which you can see has the NN, there's the Norwich branding. And I'm going to make a bag today. So a tote bag with this, and as you can see it's a sort of a polyester fabric. It's very, very shiny and very plastic. So good to make a use of it somehow, because I don't think it's going to recycle very well. So here we go with this now unpicked. It sits nice and flat and I can lay out the material on my work surface. There we go. And actually we've got a nice Norfolk Norwich Festival here. You can see my work surface is my kitchen bench, so that's where I am at the moment. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a, let's say, a tote bag, and I'm going to do it with each side of the bag being, one side being Norfolk and one side being Norwich. You could of course use the ampersand, which is rather nice. And we're going to cut the strip across Festival just so there's a bit of movement in that. But so the first thing is obviously measurements. So here's my pattern. Pretty simple. It's 4 pieces, 2 lots of 2. So one piece is 40 by 48 times 2, and the second piece, which is the handles, is 92 by 10 by 2. Oh, and here comes my dogs from the walk. There we go. That's interrupting the business. So you might choose to cut out a paper pattern, or you can just measure it onto the material, because it's actually relatively easy with the ends, because if you look at this, the ends are 32 centimeters wide. We want a piece which is 40, so basically 4 centimeters either side of the ends will give us the width we want. So I've used sewer's chalk to just mark out those sides. You really could just go straight in and cut it if you want. One of the nice things about working with this material is that you can see you can just line up the dots, which is sort of fun and makes life easy. To draw your bottom line, take 4 centimeters below this N and then draw across, and then take your 48 centimeters up and draw your top line. And here we go with my square blocked out on Norwich. Right, so next I'm going to mark out the handle, or the handles, which are 92 by 10, and 2 of those. And here we go, here's the 92 marked out along Festival, 2 lots. And now cutting out is as simple as cutting along the lines, and well, it's pretty darn easy. You just follow and get your pieces. And there we have it, a Norwich, a Norfolk, and 2 strips across the Festival. I'm doing it in the kitchen, so I managed to put it in a spot of water near the kettle, but it'll dry out very quickly because it's nylon. And you can actually see right side and reverse side here. The reverse side is slightly dull. If we turn that one over, we should have, that's 2 right sides together. There we go. So that's everything right sides, 4 pieces, ready to go. Okay, now the ironing board is out. This stuff can be ironed. I've set my setting to wool. I don't dare take it up any higher. It's not nice to iron, but I like to iron when I sew, so here we go. So we just start by pressing the right side We'll just make it as smooth as possible. There we go. So just smoothing out my two bag pieces, and what I'm going to do is put them face to face. So that is facing sides together, and it's pretty easy to line up and get it right. And then what I'm actually going to do is pin that. The material is surprisingly difficult to pin, but it's not a big deal. I'm just doing it to give a rough sense of the shape. So I'm pinning the three sides, or the two sides in the bottom of the bag, and leaving the top open. And I'm really keeping my pins quite far apart, so it's just to hold it in place. So to make your strap, take your piece of material and fold it in half, and we're going to iron it in half. So we're ironing the strap in half, and it should be right side showing as we iron in half here. Here we go. There we go. So you'll end up with a crease up the middle of your strap. So now fold in both sides like this, just in like that to both sides, sort of almost to the middle, and then iron those edges in. There we go, that's one side ironed into the crease. Now we'll do the other side now. There we go, and the final thing is to fold these together like this and iron one last time. Here we go, two strap pieces, folded and ironed. You can pin them if you like, but I actually find it holds just fine for what I need. So I'm just going to sew straight away and see how we go. So here we are at the trusty sewing machine. I am using a straight stitch, about just between 2 and 3 in length. I've changed the tension slightly when I did a bit of testing on the material, and of course I'm doing a straight stitch, so the width is at 0. Who would have thought filming and sewing together was so hard? I'm using a blue thread, and that's just because that's what I had available. So here we go. Let's see how we go. I don't know if I can film and sew at the same time. It seems to be working. The material is pretty slippy. You can see I've done this across here, and it seems to be sitting well. I'm just going to iron it again, and then I'll go back on the other side. And here we go. Here's a strap sewn on both sides and sitting okay, ready to go. There we go, 2 straps ready to be attached to the bag. So now we're back at the sewing machine with the bag itself. Remember, right sides together, pinned on 3 sides, and we're going to sew those 3 sides with a margin of about 1 centimetre all around. And when you get to the corners, I would reinforce them with a bit of backward sewing and then go around the corner. So here we go, I'm just going down one side. I've left my pins in, I don't know how you like to do it, you can take them out as you go. Here we go, down a side. So I've now sewn the bag, really simply, some double stitching at the corner and just sewn the 3 sides. I've left the top open. Now I can take out the pins. So I'm not going to do anything with the edges. Actually, this material doesn't fray, so I don't think it needs it. What I am going to do is just take the scissors though and just, oh, wrong bit there. I'm going to take the scissors and I'm going to trim this corner here. Just take the corner off, just so there's a little less material at the corner. So coming back to the bag, I'm just going to do a quick iron to flatten it out a little. And now we're going to go to the top of the bag. The first thing to do is to turn over the top for a turn of about 2.5 centimeters or an inch. There you go, there's the turned over at about 2.5 centimeters. Actually, I think mine's about 3, but I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. Just make sure it's even all across, and of course we're doing the other side as well. Again, you might choose to use your dots to help you align at this point. There you go, that's the fold, and I've pressed it. And now we're going to do it again. And there we go with the double fold. And now I'm going to pin that into place. Okay, so now we want to place the straps. Your bag should be around 38 centimeters across now. So the first thing to do is to mark your center point, and I'm going to pin that. So I've marked the center point there with that pin, and now I'm going to do 8 centimeters either side, so there's a total mark of 16 centimeters. There you go, and what we've done is marked the inside edge of the handles. At that inside edge, insert your handle, the end of your handle, in like that, and then pin that in place. So when you've pinned one side, just lay the handle like that and pin in the second side. There we go, that's the handle pinned in. Basically, I've just pushed the handle up to the edge here and then pinned it in there. Now I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. There you go, pinned, beginning to look like an inside-out bag. So now we're going to go and sew the top together. So here we go to sew the top. Starting at a seam, just do a back stitch and then a straight stitch quite close to the edge along the bottom edge first. When you come to a handle, just keep sewing. It should be pinned in place, and just sew it in there. And just keep going round. I've got to the handle on the other side now. Just remove a pin or two. It'll stay in place just so I can get over that. And there we go. I've sewn that edge. Now I'm just going to take out all the pins and do another press. So now we're going to press this again just to make sure it's nice. And at the same time, we're going to take the handle and move it up. And we're going to press that in place and then pin it, just like this. Boy, this material is sometimes tough to pin, so I've taken a finer pin there to get that done, but basically that's the turn up that we're looking for on the handle. There we go, pinned and pressed, and I'm now going to sew around the top using the same distance away from the edge. So here we are sewing and just making sure that the handle goes up and out, but you're catching it as you go through. Oops, hard with one hand. Now the final thing to do is to reinforce those handle connections by basically sewing an X. It's like a figure of 8, a sort of triangular figure of 8. Just go down along the line, along the bottom, across, and go round and do it a couple of times. It's hard to keep neat, but to be honest, it's a fast sew, so it really doesn't matter. So there's one, and now I'm going to do the other 3. Getting close. Now I'm just going to take off loose threads, then we're ready to turn it inside out and have our bag. Okay, here we go. Here's the comedy moment where I turn it inside out, only to find that I've sewn up edges. Let's see how we go. It's hard to do with one hand. Let's see. Looking pretty good. Okay, there's Norwich. Ooh, not bad. I'm just going to get a chopstick to pull these corners out, and I'll come back in a sec. There we go. A Norwich and Norfolk Festival bag ready for festival newspapers. Let's bung those in. go. Oh, the cat hand at one hand. There we go. Norfolk and Norwich Festival bag.